Spend the day here in the shop, see what we can get done, and maybe I'll take you on a little tour of the shop right quick before I get started. First thing, it's colder than I don't know what in here, so I'm gonna build up the fire first. So let's get that done, and then we'll go for a little tour. When you're working in a wood shop, you got plenty of stuff to build a fire with. Little bitty stuff down toward the bottom. That way it catches fire pretty easy. Bigger stuff toward the top. Something to light it with. This stove does pretty good. I mean, it's a country hearth from Tractor Supply. Somewhere between, I believe it was almost, it was $500 some. And then if you get this new triple wall pipe that they got, you don't even have to have a block flue for it. You can run it straight through the ceiling if you want to. As long as you stay within the leniencies of how far you have to put it from something combustible. I think with the triple wall, it was like 3 or 4 inches. I mean, you could get really close to combustible material and still be okay, but it really does well. But it's about $100. It's about $100 for every 3 feet. I believe it comes in. What I bought was in like 3-foot sections, like $100 each. And it's what I have, as you can see, it's what I have going through the ceiling up there, from the ceiling to the roof of the shop. That's what I have there. The rest of it's just regular thick gauge stovepipe. This thing is set up to where, you know, it draws its air from the, this is the draft down here. You can push it in and out to control your opening, but it draws its air in through the top. A lot of your old conventional stoves, I mean, that were just awesome for heating the home, they drew their air from the bottom right up through the grates. But this thing doesn't have grates. And so when I start building my fire, I put me a little temporary grate system down there with a couple pieces of wood and build my fire on top of it. It lets it draw a little bit more air to get started underneath there, but this thing is set up to where it draws its air from these holes here, and then it'll come down over here and wash this window, so to speak, and keep it clean, and comes down and around. It burns in a circle like this. And it's also got secondary air ports that run all the way across inside the stove in the top. So you could actually build a fire from the top down on this stove, and that's why they don't put grates in them. It doesn't draw from the bottom. So I mean, it does pretty good. It won't get as hot as, like, you know, it would be really hard to get this stove red hot. You know, the some of the older stoves when I was, you know, when I was a boy at my dad's, stove we had there, you could get that thing cherry red, you know. But this one, it would kind of be hard to do that. It would if you cracked this door. If you left the door somewhat cracked and burn it like that, yeah, it can get pretty hot that way. But if you're operating it the way they say, it'd be really hard to get this one cherry red. Well, now, you see when I do that how the flame, you know, starts going that way. It's because it's drawing right through the crack in this door here, but it's not recommended to run it that way. It's probably would get too hot like that. But once it gets kind of warm and you get a good fire in there, you can shut it down and or shut the door and pull this all the way out and, you know, let it do its thing. And you can see how it's drawing the air in through here and coming down back into there like that. It doesn't do real good with any kind of moist wood, but it does real good with seasoned wood. You know, sometimes you like to bank your fire with green wood in the evenings, or if you're going to be away from the stove for a while. But I have had this one to go completely out, so it doesn't do well with that. The older stoves, they could draw from the bottom and seem like it stood a little better chance of not going out that way if you left the draft open just a little bit. But anyway, all right, while that's catching up, I'll just sort of show you the shop. It is a mess right now, but anyway, we've been so busy with the dirt side of the business that we haven't had a chance to get in here and do much. We've had a lot of excavating work to do, stuff like that. But this is my joiner. As you can see, it's a Grizzly GO490X. Pretty good joiner. I mean, I like it so far. I kind of, you know, didn't use my head. And when I first got it, these blades, the first time when they went dull, yeah, I tried to turn them around, and instead of using a torque wrench to tighten these bolts back, these little bolts right here, these blades are set up to twist around 4 different ways. You got 4 different cutting edge on those. So, but anyway, I didn't follow the rules, and I busted like maybe 25, maybe even 40 blades. I busted a whole bunch of them trying to get them to go back. And you know, I called up Grizzly, and that was after I I took my grinder and I grind these seats down in here. I thought maybe the seats weren't ground properly. It was catching the edge of the blade and busting them. But I tried that, and you know, I guess I ruined a whole row of them before I realized that just wasn't going to work. So, you know, bum job there. Shame on me. But anyway, called up Grizzly, and he said, yeah, you know, you got to use the torque wrench, and you just gotta barely torque those things. It's like on 45, I believe 45 foot-pounds. I mean, very, very, very little torque at all. You would think, those bolts would fly back out, but you know, I trusted it and did it, and it works. You know, I don't break any more blades. But aside from that, that spiral head does a really good job. Wish I hadn't messed it up, but I'll live with it. It just leaves a little hairline crease through the boards now where the blades are a little bit off center, but you can sand it out with one pass of 220. But anyway, that's my joiner. I forget now how long the bed, 76, yeah, it's 76 inch bed on it. Does really good. You can take a really bowed or warped board and make it flat. So it does a good job. And here, my newest addition is my Laguna LT 14BX bandsaw. That's my newest addition. to the shop. Like I say, I apologize for the mess, but man, we've just been so busy. But this is a really good bandsaw. I really like this thing. You can do a whole lot with a bandsaw. I mean, it's made well. It's cast iron wheels. I got it on sale. Got a pretty good deal on it at Wood River over in Knoxville. It's a really nice store. Usually in nice areas they have educational classes and everything that they do there. But anyway, I really like the guy that worked there. He done me well, so thanks to those guys. But that's a nice bandsaw. And here's my really old Woodtech 15-inch planer. This sucker's been around it's been around the block more than a few times. So we built 3 homes with this thing. All the rough boards and lumber that you can imagine, to build 3 fairly nice homes, big homes, I would say. But we used that planer to take them from sawmill down to usable stuff, for a home. And it did all of it. Of course, we've been through a motor. It's got a different motor on it, than the original, and a few other updates and kinks and problems. This handle here has since rusted up and seized up, and we had to do some engineering there. But yeah, it's a good planer all in all. It needs replaced. I mean, it doesn't do a really good job with getting the wood really smooth. It's just kind of outdated, but for what I do here, it does a good job. And as you can tell, I do not have a central dust system, which sucks, by the way. That is my next investment. That is what I use right now. That allows me to suck a little bit of dust out of the planer over to that thing, and then I can clean it up easily by carefully letting it fall down into this chute. I run a hose from the bottom of that chute that I made. Works pretty good. Don't get me wrong now, central dust system is lots better, but this thing, it works for me. I mean, it keeps me from having to shovel up dust all the time while I'm running. A little will go down in there, and it's just a 2-inch system, as you can tell, but way too small for a planer. But it gets the job done. It's a little slow, but and then I hand feed some, and then it sucks it up into the dust deputy and down into my vat there. But anyway, it was a little shop vacs hooked up to everything. Just trying to make do that we can afford to buy us a central dust vac. But this right here is something I made. These, I'll tell you about the saw stop table saws first. But man, this is like, that's like top of the line, if you ask me, for professional woodworkers or just hobbyists in general. I mean, this thing is just great. It's got a great safety feature, which I'm sure all of you have heard and know about. But this is the professional edition, 3 horsepower. I do a lot of table saw work. Some of my brother's log, and I'm got a nephew that owns and operates a sawmill, pretty big sawmill, and so I get all the rough lumber I need. So I'm always needing to straighten stuff up and trim stuff up with the table saw. So it is it's a must with any wood shop anyway. But that one there, I really, really, really like it. I started out with an old Craftsman, probably not even a horsepower, that my brother loaned me. Started out with it, and so now we got this thing. But this does a really good job. But anyway, this is the 36-inch extended table here. So it comes with this extension on it right here, and you can buy this with a router base already on it, but instead I just bought this and then went ahead and fabricated me a router place down here under the bottom of it. As you can see, I just got an old rigid router hooked up there. It needs to be a bigger one. I know it's too small, but you know, hey, it does the job for right now, you know. I got it hooked up, you know, just bolted up there directly up to it. Really, really loud when you run it, but it gets the job done. So that's my table, or my router table and table saw. So what I did was, you know, just kind of engineered this little router table fence. This fence, you can't, of course, you know, it's a saw-stop fence. You can't get it right over against the blade to use with a router. So you have to fabricate something or buy one to where you can get back over your router blade and adjust what you need there. But this works really well. It just slips right down over it, slip on, slip off. And you can adjust the squareness with your table saw stuff here. If it's out, it'll square a little bit in relation to the table. But this one also, it's got a, you know, a built-in dust system. You just pull this in and out, and this actually, you know, does a really great job actually of pulling the dust into here and just getting rid of it for you. There's actually hardly any dust at all gets thrown back at you the way it works. So I was really proud of the way that works. Here is my Supermax 19-38 drum sander. I mean, you know, that thing does really good. I mean, it's you know, it's an extra to a shop. It's not a necessity, to be honest with you, unless you're doing it, you know, productive scale. It's not a necessity for the hobbyist or something like that. But if you're doing large stuff or a lot of small pieces, thing really comes in handy. Actually does a great job. Actually takes a lot of work off of you as far as the sanding process. Now, I always hand finish mine, you know, down with my 220 or my 320 or whatever I'm taking it to. I always do the, you know, the last step or so with the random orbit sander. But that thing, you know, saves you on big long boards. You know, you can do those in no time. And it's, you know, it's fairly decent built. As you can see, it's got a nice stand, nice big motor, and it's also, you know, it's got the Intellis sand, which, you know, that thing senses. This is the motor that turns the conveyor belt over there, but it senses this motor. If it starts drawing down, that thing senses it and slows itself down automatically to where this can catch back up. It makes a more smoother operating system and finished job when you're done. So I like it. And here we have my old Remington 135 forced air heater. That thing is nice. If you come out here and it's very, very cold and you don't want to wait on the fire to warm the place up, turn that thing on and in about 10 minutes, and I'm not exaggerating, seriously, this building is 35 by a little over 18 wide. Maybe it's 19. Yeah. But anyway, seriously, that thing will heat it up in here in less than 10 minutes. You'll be turning it back off because it gets, what I would say, stifling hot. So I really like that thing. I haven't had to use it this year yet, but I've not been out here that much either. So, and there's my toolbox and some of my accessories that I use. I really do like Woodpecker stuff. That's their 1281 precision aluminum square. You know, those guys just do really good work. The squire's laying over here, but it's a really nice square. I mean, it's high-end stuff, you know. It's good to have some of those things, but stuff like that's affordable. So, and here's my miter 1000 made by Incra. Now that thing is nice. If I had to go back and start my shop with the first thing I bought as an accessory to my table saw, it would be the Incra miter 1000 or the even bigger one, because I mean that thing is awesome. I mean, repeat cuts, repeat angles, and and get it perfect and right every time. It's just a must. I would recommend, if you're starting a wood shop and you have a decent table saw, you know, pick you up a really nice miter gauge to go with it, because most of the time, and I'll show you here, this is what came with that one. I don't know if you can see it, it might not be enough light, but that's, I mean, it's a decent miter gauge, but repetitiveness is dang nigh impossible with that thing. I mean, you can do it, it just takes a lot of work and, you know, adjusting it back and forth. So, but anyway, get you an aftermarket one to go on it, made by a really good company like Incra. That thing's great. And there's my Diablo dado blade system that I have. Does a really nice job, comes with a really neat carrying case. And here's all my clamps. I don't have, I have about a quarter of the clamps that I need to have, I'll be honest with you. I'm all the time waiting on wood to dry to try to get more clamps. So anybody out there got a shop, I know that is not enough. You need loads and loads of them. But anyway, it's a good starting place. Let's see, and here's my Cobalt miter slash chop saw. Does a really good job, 12-inch. As you can see, it's one of the ones that slide in and out. My brother broke the handle off of it. I let him use it up at his house, and he came back with a broke handle. No big deal, never used that handle anyway. But anyhow, that is a really good saw. My sister bought that for me. I built her about a $10,000 or $15,000 deck, and she bought that saw for me for building her that deck. Really good saw, and I love it, and I will never depart with that sucker. All right, and then here's, you know, some of my accessories, extra lighting I got stuck up there, squares, framing squares, tools and accessories just to grab and beat and bang with. This is my little workbench. And here's my roll around smoother topped workbench. And all this stuff, you know, this wood stuff I've got, you know, that you see in the shop, you know, I've got no money in none of this stuff other than just hauling it to the house from the sawmill or taking it out of someone's house. For instance, this old cabinet, jerking it out here and just using it. But anyway, it does a good job, and it's, like I say, it's rollable. It's my sanding table. I've got another one I'm gonna bring out here as soon as I get a chance. It just doggone thing's so heavy, and you have to fabricate wheels and put on it and make it up a little higher. Let's check out the fire right quick. Oh yeah, that sucker is red hot. Putting out a lot of heat right there. We'll throw some more wood in here in a minute. This is what I've been burning, some old fence posts we gathered up here around the property, and I've stacked them up over there in the dry, and I'm just burning them as I go through this winter. But that looks nice. And here's my Powermatic bench top mortiser. That thing comes in handy if you make mortises. As you can see, I just got junk hanging everywhere. I mean, that's just the way I do it. You know, everybody's, you know, don't get me wrong, I like a clean shop, and it's nice if you have time to do that. But hey, I come out here and I work in my shop. Now, I do take time to clean it up occasionally, but I come out here and I work in this shop. I don't come out here and live in this shop, or, you know, treat this shop like it's the inside of a home. I would, don't get me wrong, if I had the time, and kudos to those guys that can, but I don't have that kind of time. But I will say it looks awesome when you see those shops on YouTube, man. They're all nice and organized and cleaned up. I'm like, dang, I need that guy to come to my house. But anyway, that's my mortiser there. It does a good job. I mean, it's all I need. I didn't need a standalone mortiser. Don't do a whole lot of mortising, but when I do, I use Powermatic. Spray gun for painting. Really nice air compressor made by Porter Cable. We got a really good deal on that on one Black Friday sale that they had a 3 years ago, something like that. So we purchased that, and I plumbed it in. As you can see, it goes up through there and around through here and over down to here. If you're not careful, you hit your head on it. But anyway, just some of my junk here in the shop. Stuff there everywhere, cans everywhere. Yeah, I know I need to get a little more organized. There's my radio and all my paints and my varnishes and my stains. Stuff like that, extra supplies. Stuff nailed up on the wall. And that right there, that big white thing you see sticking in the wall, that is a must-have for any shop. That is an air conditioner. And believe it or not, does a great job in here. It'll keep it 69, 70 degrees in the hottest of days. Of course, I've got insulation, you know, about 3 inches of insulation in the walls and 3 inches R13 is what I have in the ceilings and in the walls. When we first bought this property up here, this was just, it's concrete floor now, but this was just dirt. I mean, this building had sides and a top, okay? Let me step outside for a minute in the pouring rain. I'll show you the building. But yeah, you know, there's the building now. You know, it had sides and a roof, but it had no interior or no front doors, no ends at all. So the two ends, front and back ends, me and my boys put on. Barnett and Sons, we done that. The doors, I made those doors. By the way, they turned out really good. That's all you need, man. You can get big stuff in and out, or you can come in the regular door. And then, of course, in the back, oh yeah, I almost forgot that. And I've got 2 more shop backs. I've got a really good Festool. You know, Festool's high-end stuff. I don't own many Festool tools, but I do have their, they don't call it a shop back. They call those dust extractors made by Festool. I fabricated this junk to go on top of it. This is just a 5-gallon bucket with a dust deputy on top and plumbed into the Festool dust extractor. And I just mounted it to a piece of board and set it there on the lid. That way it goes with me where I go. And you're not all the time having to change the bags in here. Like that one bag, that I've had this thing for about 2 or 3 years now. That's the second bag I've ever put in it because of this thing. So that works really nice to have it like that. You don't have to spend money on bags much at all. As you can see, right there, I bought that box of bags when I bought the machine, and I've only had to open it one time. So that's a good shop bag. And I've also got a Festool jigsaw here that my wife bought me. That's a really nice tool. I keep it down there where if someone does break in, maybe they won't see it. It's a high-end tool, $300 or $400. Got the radio free because I purchased some Milwaukee tools. By the way, let me just add, my Milwaukee tools have had, I bought an impact drill, a regular drill, and a skill saw. All right, so that I got for free. The skill saw has been awesome. My wife bought that for me a couple Christmases ago, maybe 3 Christmases ago, and it has been awesome. But these 2 drills right here, this is actually a new replacement drill since I bought it. And this is actually a brand new replacement impact wrench. Now, Milwaukee gave me no problems with them, okay? They were, awesome about that. But it's just the fact that I did have to send them back. This one makes the second one. This one is, this made the 3rd time I had to send it back. No, I'm lying. This made, I went and bought it, had to take it back. They give me a new one. Then I had to take that new one back, and they repaired it and sent it back to me. And the chuck's still not on center. This thing, the drill bit wobbles when you're using it like that. It stinks. But they give me no trouble about doing it, free of charge. But this thing, the first one I had, it just stopped working. You pull the trigger and nothing would happen. The little blue light would come on when you pull the trigger like that, but the drill wouldn't work. And no matter what you did, it just wouldn't work. It started doing that intermittently at times, and then it would work. But then finally it got to where it just wouldn't work at all. So I ended up sending it back, and they sent me this brand new replacement in the mail. So yeah, hey, Milwaukee, they don't give you no problems with sending stuff back, but you might just have to send your stuff back. That's just, you know, it's just aggravating to have to send it back to start with. So, but this right here, that is a Walmart special, Bostitch, 18 volt. That drill has been with me. I bought that drill when I built the deck with this miter saw. I bought that drill. I've not had any issues whatsoever out of it. The battery still lasts great. Like I say, that's a Walmart product. You know, people look down on the Walmart stuff sometimes, but that has been a great drill. Great drill. I have no complaints with that one right there. Also got a Bostitch reciprocating saw that I use. Never have any problems out of it either. So, you know, half the price and been twice as good. To me, you just can't beat that. So that's a little tour of our shop, guys. Let's go back and add some wood. All right. Let's put a little wood in here. That's been a tour of my shop. It's getting warm enough now I can take this hoodie off, but that's a tour of the shop. You know, it's not high end, it's not super great, it's not high production, but I sure do have a lot of fun out here.